podcast. My name's Jeff, as I'm sure you know by now, and his name is, I was going to say Paul, but it's more like coughing Paul tonight.
Yeah, it's not good, mate.
He's at death's door. But we've got a guest with us tonight, a man whose theatre work has won him awards, and whose Big Finish output is frankly phenomenal, and I'm sure has entertained many a Whovian around the world. It's Mr. Tim Foley. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Well, thanks for that introduction. It's downhill from there.
Hey, nothing but the best here, Tim. I'll tell you now.
How are you this evening?
Yes, I'm good. I've had a lovely chill day. I think for writers, you have busy days and relaxed days, and there was a lot of dog walking and pondering today. So that was my busy day.
Was it kind of pondering new storylines, bouncing around the ether, new possibilities, new characters, new situations, things like that? Or was it about the shopping list?
Yeah, we'll go with the former. That sounds more intellectual.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Wander my local
give
park.
You that
Yeah.
So we've got quite a bit to talk about with you this evening. But let's go back to the beginning. How did you discover Doctor Who?
Oh, well, I became a Doctor Who fan thanks to my uncle. It was back in the days, if you can recall, when you were recording something off the TV on video and you couldn't change the channel.
Yeah.
So I was around my uncles and my granddad's.
Dark ages.
Yeah, I know. I'm that old. But so yes, it was a Saturday morning. It was a UK Gold repeat. We couldn't watch cartoons.
Yeah.
I was asking, what are you recording? And my uncle said, it's Doctor Who. You can watch it if you like, but you can't change the channel. So I thought, that TV's better than no TV. So okay. And it was Doctor Who, The Face of Evil.
Oh,
and I
classic.
bloody loved it. Bloody loved
yes.
it. And I finished that story because the UK Gold used to play them sort of all in one batch. And I said to my uncle, that's great. And he said, well, I already have the Robots of Death and the Talons of Wing Chun on tape if you want to watch those next. So I spent the entire day doing that. And I was just caught hook, line and sinker. That must have been about 98, 99 maybe?
Yeah. Gosh, I remember those UK Gold repeats. They were just fantastic. I mean, for so many of us, it was the first time we'd really seen so much Doctor Who. It was incredible.
It was, and I set up I got the better deal here, but my uncle then started having to make copies of his copies, and I was just getting VHS tapes posted to me. It was wonderful. Happy times.
That's when the quality starts to get even worse, isn't it? When you're going from tape to tape, and like I remember editing one of my first projects at college on VHS to VHS decks, and going backwards and forwards, and in the end, literally having blocks of colour moving around because it had degraded so much. Like, it's art.
Wow.
It's just because it's got so worn out that
Yeah, so, I mean, with some of the UK Gold repeats, the qualities, I think they were already halfway there. I remember Ambassadors of Death, was that? I could not see anything. I think that was just a black and white
really
mush.
Murky, wasn't it? Yeah, it was just that, literally. Yeah. But I remember actually when UK Gold first started doing those, and I didn't even know they were on. I just literally, UK Gold was a station. I thought, well, I'll have a look and see. I kid you not, the very first episode of an Unearthly Child was starting up on screen. I thought, oh my God, it's my lucky day. It's literally my birthday. But the problem is, on my feed, I had all these horrible white speckles right across the screen. They were really quite... It's like a snowstorm, speckly, some kind of interference or poor signal or something. But I didn't care, to be honest. It was just... It'd take me back, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was good. Good times.
Kids these days, they got no idea how easy they got it.
No idea, Jeff.
They don't. They don't. And there is something to be said about, trawling through books. And I remember, because I got a copy of the 80s by... I forget, was it David J. Howe, probably, and just poring over stories I hadn't read yet and thinking like, oh my gosh, Omega's coming back, can't wait for this. Whereas everything now on demand all the time. Youths, get it easy.
Yeah. Said to my son, actually, the other day, he's 11 at the end of the week, and he said, do you know what a cassette tape is? He went, yeah, something that you play films on, isn't it? We're like, technically, but not quite. They have no idea. It's so bizarre because it wasn't that
Bless
long
them.
ago, really, was it? You know, so
No, it wasn't.
not really. No.
Unless you're in denial, of course.
Are you in denial?
just getting
no,
old.
I think I am.
Yeah. So, Tim, let's talk about Big Finish for a little bit. So, you've been involved with them for quite a while now, haven't you? So, how did that all happen for you?
I mean, yeah, I think because Big Finish was kind of on my radar at the same time as I was discovering it on TV. I'm just lending stuff off people all the time. This is how I get anywhere. There was a teacher at school who lent me, which one was it? Winter for the Adept. That was my first one, which was number 10. And I hadn't even met Nissa by this point, I don't think, but I had a great time with that. And then the next one was Sword of Orion. Love that one as well. I was a bit annoyed because that one had long episodes and I was trying to... Oh, I'm going to out myself
Hurry it up.
as a pirate here. I was trying to record it to a cassette tape like we were just saying, and the episodes did not fit. So that's where my piracy of Big Finish began and ended. I should stress that
You
for the
learned
record.
your lesson early on, young Tim.
Yeah. If Nick Briggs is listening, it's, you're all
I know,
clean now.
It's all good. It's all good,
I've
Nick.
told
Don't worry
him
about it.
many a time how much I love Sword of the Orion. It's just, it's one of those sort of nostalgia feasts for
amazing.
me.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, big fan. But so yes, I'd known about Big Finish for ages, and I did want to write for Big Finish before I wanted to become a writer. It was it's quite funny actually. Recently, I was going through a box of childhood stuff, and I've long since claimed that a part of my GCSE project. See, this is making me seem less. It's not all levels. For me, it's GCSEs. It's GCSEs.
Yeah, same.
A bit younger. Yeah.
And we had to write a kind of like episode of a franchise already, and I decided to write one about Benny Summerfield, and I sent it off. I was 14. I sent it off to Big Finish, and I got the sweetest letter back from Simon Gurrier, who had annotated the script and provided me loads of notes for my GCSE.
Wow.
And just like about a couple of weeks ago, I rediscovered this, and I can't bring myself to read it because it's probably terrible, but it does have moving statues before Blink. So I feel like
Really?
Stephen Moffat is probably
And
going
is
through the
this,
big slush pile.
Yeah. Has he ever seen this? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah. Stephen, give me a call. I'll accept some royalties. And
Yeah,
then your
yeah,
questions
just
asked.
Yeah.
Backdated.
Just
Yeah.
token payments.
Yeah.
Settlement, that'll do.
Yeah.
So again, before I was a writer, wanted to write for Big Finish, and then it kind of fell off my radar for a bit because I sort of went to uni, and then I was just sort of jobbing about, and Big Finish wasn't. I wasn't listening to it as regularly as I had been, I guess, because I no longer had an English teacher sort of lending me the CDs. But then I put my first play on, and it went well enough for me to feel like, I can be a bit cheeky. I can message one of the producers, and so I reached out to Scott Hancock, and to his credit, he was like, "Okay, send me some pictures," and that was for an original series that never took off. And then I didn't hear anything again for 6 months, and then out of the blue, he was like, "Okay, we're bringing back Torchwood, and also you could do a Gallifrey. Would you like to do either of these?" And I was like, "I would love to do both of them."
Give me both. Yeah.
So pitched for them, got them, and then never looked back. Got my claws in, thought, right, they're not letting go of me now. So yeah, happy times ever since then.
That's fantastic.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll come on to your theatre work and things a little bit later. But it's. I was looking through again earlier your list of things that you've written, and I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and
There's lots of it, isn't it?
There's a lot. Yeah, it's very impressive. Yeah, which is great. So you recently wrote the first 13th Doctor adventure for Big Finish, which was Vampire Weekend. So. I can't remember if I messaged you when I listened to it.
Quite a big moment, wasn't it?
It was
return
big,
of the 13th Doctor.
And it really got quite
hugely
a lot
anticipated.
Yeah, it was. Lots of excitement about it online, and as big 13 fans, we were sort of eagerly anticipating it.
Yeah,
and
no pressure, Tim.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't let us down. You'll be pleased to hear.
Good.
How did that one? How did that come about? And that idea for it.
Well, it came about I guess every so often in Big Finish, you get very secretive emails, and you're thinking, "Oh, this could be juicy." So before we met, didn't know she was coming back, basically. Um,
Mm.
but we met as a gang. It was sort of six writers to begin with, just bouncing around some ideas. And oh yeah, I threw a couple of ideas out. I should say, because I know I've recently launched both the 13th Doctor and the Ninth Doctor and Rose.
Mm.
Yeah,
Talk
Let
about
me,
that one as well in a
well,
minute.
yeah.
let me, clarify. Big Finish doesn't turn to me and be like, "Ah, Tim, you shall launch a range for us." It's
Yes.
pure
Thou shalt
coincidence.
launch. Yeah.
Pure coincidence. I launched them both at the same time because it's just about what idea fits,
Mm.
and I think it's because I pitched a couple of present day ideas in my usual mix. I normally like to do a RT1 special where I'll pitch a present, a past, and a future. I think that's just sort of a nice thing. So I'll go in with three ideas. And yeah, this is the idea that Nova and Matt liked,
Mm.
and I was also delighted because although it's not a murder mystery, I'm a sucker for any kind of whodunit or a mystery,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I just dived into it with a gusto. And I did feel the pressure of I don't know, you've got to set the tone. You've got to make sure it's an adventure that lots of people can get on board with. You can't go
Mm.
in and you can't go and write like the Holy Terror or something really experimental. You've got to think, what's going to be mass appeal. But then at the same time, you don't want to be so mass appeal that's boring. So I was
Mm.
umming and ahhing a lot. But yeah, hopefully struck a good balance. And it's a nice,
Oh,
slightly spooky, funny mystery in a house,
mm.
which I'm a sucker
Yeah,
for.
yes, same, and there's a sort of bit of slasher element there as well, horror film.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was the perfect introduction. And we talked about this, Paul, didn't we, when we reviewed it? That
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
it's great fun, and it's not kind of trying to be shocking or massively groundbreaking or anything. And I don't mean that negatively, but you're coming in and here's the Doctor and Yaz and sort of reintroducing us to them on audio, and it's great fun, which is exactly what it should be. It's almost like, do you remember when TV shows used to come back, new series? I used to remember the premiere episode of Buffy. It was all so exciting, so much fun, and then it would sort of grow and develop after that, So that was kind of what it reminded me of, just fresh time with characters that I love and a new adventure.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going for.
So how does it feel, kind of, from being this young kid watching UK Gold at your uncle's to now hearing doctors and companions speak your words, Tim? Well, that's got to be something, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It doesn't get old. There's always a part of you that's like, oh my goodness, I am writing for Doctor Who. Oh my goodness, I'm writing a scene that's interior TARDIS. It's yeah, it's also a credit to sort of the Big Finish, the way that you can just, it's a big sandbox and you can play in it, and you can do every genre, you can do every kind of story. Yeah, I love it, and it's really helped me as a writer as well. I think I've really sort of like cut my teeth and grown. Like, I wouldn't like to go back and point out past mistakes, and I'm a terrible self-critic anyway. I sort of struggle to listen to my own stuff, but I can see maybe in the first like 5 or 10 audios that I wrote, there's something I learned in every one, and sometimes it was like from the script editors, sometimes the directors, sometimes from the actors. I remember picking up a great piece of about pacing from Paul Clayton, who plays Mr. Colchester on the Torchwood audios, and it's just amazing because something like audio and theatre as well, it's such a like team sport, and everyone's piling in. So I think the writer can sometimes get a bit too much credit, though I love it. It's great for my ego and stuff, but like it's like everyone piling in, and it's just so fun all making Doctor Who together. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And of course we have vampires in there as well, the Vampire Weekend, but it's the great vampire from State of Decay, isn't it? It's that old enemy of the Time Lords.
Yeah, I mean, I do love writing for vampires. I remember it must have been when I first watched State of Decay. I thought it was such a silly idea, putting vampires in Doctor Who. I was like, why would you do that? They're fictional monsters, and Doctor Who's real, and this should not be the case.
Yeah.
But I've really grown to love them as a kind of a monster to write about. I think they're like fantastic foils for the Time Lords. Like Terrance Dicks, well done. There's so much similarities between them, and you get to do so much. And I've admittedly done quite a few vampire stories now. They're fours I like to return to. So,
well,
yeah,
I'm going to jump ahead to a couple of questions down the line. But your recent Fugitive audio, the Hereafter,
more
had
vampires.
vampires in, didn't it? and I text you, Paul, didn't I? And I said,
Mate, yeah.
Tim wrote this and he wrote that. He must have planned this sort of semi-connection, between it all. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that. When you got the Fugitive, and did you deliberately say, "Oh, I'll do vampires"? Because which came first, I suppose, the chicken or the egg?
Oh,
Chicken or the Great Vampire?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to nick that one. That's very good. I mean, there's no grand like master plan, but you can't help but sort of revisit certain ideas and certain themes. The Fugitive Doctor was way, way earlier than the Jodie ones, I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think we were planning the Fugitive whilst Jodie was still the Doctor, which feels like decades ago now, but it was maybe more recent than I think. Writing for any new Doctor, it's always wonderful because it's both finding their unique take on the role and yet accepting there is a universality to the Doctor. Which is a little strained because obviously she's the Fugitive Doctor and she's not quite the Doctor yet, and you've got to take that into account, and you've got to see how far you're allowed to push these things, how dark you can go, but you can't go too dark. So yeah, the Fugitive Doctor was definitely a fun one to sort of figure out.
Yeah, it's that series of stories there. I hope there's going to be more, but they were great as well. But that bit in the first episode where is it the first one of the Daleks turn up? And she doesn't know what they are, and I thought, that's great. It's getting the arch enemy in, but it's new territory for it, and so yeah, I can imagine
She hasn't met him yet.
Yeah, writing that, for her. Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's the Doctor, but sort of not the Doctor at the same time, and quite a nice challenge.
I think that goes, just one second on that actually, because that also gives us one of the best moments in that entire story. And I have to say, the Hereafter, I loved it. I thought it was genuinely one of the best big finishes I'd listened to for a long, long time. It literally had me gripped. Jeff will tell you, and our listeners will tell you, I'm not a fan of vampires. Honestly, as soon as I see the word vampire, I'm like, for crying out loud, swears come out of my mouth.
It's true, yeah.
And so...
But let me just say, when I texted him and said, look, the first 13th audio cover has been revealed, my phone melted from the cussing, that was coming back at, and I was like,
vampires.
I like Buffy and Angel, this is going to be good.
It's only because, I've said it before, honestly, I when I was at uni, I did a dissertation on vampires in fiction through the ages, and I think it just killed it for me at the end. But I have to say, the one thing I've always liked about Doctor Who is that great vampire, and what you did with it in Hereafter, I thought was brilliant, because it was kind of true to the vampire legend. It had all the right tropes and all the right places, but that additional twist that this Time Lord enemy kind of brings to it. But what was extra special was going back to what you said a minute ago, Tim, with the Fugitive Doctor not quite being the Doctor yet. She's not that person that we can fully trust or understand. We know we can, but not quite yet. And there's that brilliant moment at the end when she's given a choice to make. And that if this is a Seventh Doctor story, perhaps, or any other Doctor, they're going to go the right way. They're going to make they're going to come down on the right side of the ethical choice. But with the Fugitive Doctor, you generally don't know.
You don't know
how that's going to play out. And I kid you not, my heart was in my mouth at that moment. I'm thinking, don't do it. Don't do what I think you're going to do, because she could have done. You know what I mean? Anyone who can snatch off a space rhino's horn could do what I thought she was going to do at the end of that story. Yeah. Trying to say this without any spoilers, in case you haven't listened to it yet, listeners.
And if you haven't, brilliant. Go and do it now. Yeah.
Please do. It's brilliant. But also, there's a great character journey in there as well. And I love, despite all the theatrics and everything else, there's a beautiful journey for Alice Krieger's character. What's it? Cosmo.
Cosmo, yeah.
Cosmo,
yes.
That was it.
Yeah.
Was that challenging to write? Did you have fun writing that? So it's more like a little play almost, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really sort of changes things between them as well, doesn't it? And they go from kind of adversary to something a bit more, I think, don't they? Changes it.
I mean, this is why I enjoy it is very sort of exciting if you do get sort of the first of a box set or the last of a box set, because there are chances for these shifts and these gear shifts.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a lot of discussion with Rob Valentine, who I think's a marvelous script editor. And he has this journey for Cosmo planned out, and he was like, okay, this is quite a pivotal episode for her. So yeah, but I had a great time. I had no idea it was Alice Krieger who was cast, but she's the
legend.
Borg Queen. I absolutely love her.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
that was great as well. But yeah, if I have the choice, I will always try and reduce a cast size down to the bare minimum. I love doing sort of like little chamber pieces, or I mean, I would happily have a whole story that was just the Doctor and Cosmo sat around a campfire, that kind of thing. You might, if the more of my audios you listen, I guess the more, do we call them tropes? But there's things I return to, and I love having characters sitting down and have dinner. I also like it when a companion changes clothes, because when that happens in the TV show, it's like, okay, they're getting serious, they're getting into it. So all my Sarah Jane Smith audios, there's basically a wardrobe scene that's usually completely superfluous, but I'm like, no, we're going to put her in new clothes and describe them because it's audio, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun to that.
Yeah,
well, I mean, she wears the Victorian dress in Pyramids of Mars, which somehow gives that story a different character, doesn't it? It's crazy, but yeah.
Yeah,
we appear to have lost Paul at the moment.
I scared him off with all the vampire chat.
So we'll carry on chatting, and he'll return when he can. So you just mentioned about the Ninth Doctor series that you kicked off recently, which was Snare, and was reuniting Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper for. Well, the first time since the show, wasn't it? They've met at a couple of conventions and stuff like that, but they haven't done anything together. So how was that for you? Oh, he's back. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Back.
Paul, you just missed some great goss about the 13 audios. I can't.
That's right.
We spilled it all, you know.
He's just told me everything.
You couldn't have waited till I got back online. That's the kind of threads that I have.
So we're actually talking about the Ninth Doctor and Billie stories.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So Snare, which came out
that
recently.
was great, wasn't it? Felt like it really was planted in that series, season 1, series 1, whatever it was, 2005. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. You perfectly captured. Yeah, that exactly like Paul just said. You had Jackie there, and the Powder State kind of life. With the neighbour and things, and Chris and Billie, they just were great together. They kind of sparked off each other. So, how was that whole thing for you when you got another mysterious email about it, and then was it a bit like with Jodie and Mandip, and kind of realising they're coming back? Because I think it's fair to say that getting those 4 guys back is a pretty big deal for for Who fans, but for Big Finish, a bit like when Tennant joined up a few years ago. So yeah, tell us a little bit about all of that.
Yeah, another mysterious email. I was obviously really excited about 13 in the Yaz, but 9 and Rose, I guess it's the closest that I would have to the series being my series. So I was sort of like 14, 15, tipping out of having my own era of Doctor Who when it came back. But it was still what we all watched in the classroom, and everyone knew I'd watched this weird little show called Doctor Who because I'd never shut up about it. And suddenly, after Rose, they all turned to me and were like, hang on, is this the Doctor Who thing you were mentioning before? And I was like, yes, now you get it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, so it was very easy for me to get in the mindset of Series 1, because I think I must have rewatched it so many times. I think it's beautifully paced. I think the sort of like slow reveal of the adventures and Rose's character through that, I think it's just a superb series. And so yes, I guess there was also a little, you're slightly tentative because it's such a strong, cohesive series of Doctor Who that to shoehorn in some extra episodes is you don't want to rock the boat, I guess. You don't want to do anything too tonally off, and yet you don't want to just replicate what's been before. So again, it's forever this straddle, I think, between doing what you know and doing something completely new.
But because with the 13 audios, they will take place before Flux, don't they? So there's a massive sort of window. But I remember people in the past talking about, well, if Billie did come back and Chris did, and where would these audios fit, and also the debate of where did Chris's earlier 9 audios fit into things. And so I think the point where you put Snare in, which is after Father's Day, isn't it? It works perfectly, and it really does feel like this could have been an episode on screen. It was that kind of accurate to it all. And I saw a lot of people online saying, it kind of actually enhances that first series and really adds to it, because it mirrors the Father's Day things quite nicely. And so I think that worry perhaps of putting it in there like that, it worked brilliantly. It's really good.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Thank you. And I do think as well, because with Vampire Weekend, there's a certain bombasticness, if that's a word. Because you're starting effectively a new series, whereas this is almost, episode 8 point something, and you're squeezing into it. It allows you to do a slightly quieter story, a bit more contemplative, a bit more reflective, while still hopefully, being quite funny and being quite welcoming to sort of new listeners, which I imagine we'll be getting, because everyone wants to hear 9 Rows. They're the best. Oh, stunning.
Yeah. And I said to Paul, so they go into through the doorway, and all the plants and stuff are kind of glowing and are sort of a bit bioluminescent. Is there a film with giant blue aliens that might have given you inspiration for that? Because
don't answer this, Tim. He's
I'm mildly obsessed, you might say.
What film is this?
No, I told you, Jeff. Nobody watches it apart from you and your weird little clan.
What is it? Tell me.
Avatar with the...
we said it.
All the glowing...
right, yes. I have heard of Avatar.
I do apologise, Tim.
I will move swiftly on before I derail.
Well, before you do that, let me just ask about Snare, if I may, actually.
Yeah, no, I was going to carry on that.
I think this was... I just wanted to know about the sort of technical challenges writing this, because there's a lot of location swapping. A lot of time, we're swapping between sort of the off-world location and the powerless state, and that, I mean, it was quite challenging to follow. So, in your mind when you're writing it, are you kind of thinking, because again, it's on audio. If you watch it on TV, it's easy to see where you are, but on audio, it requires a lot of attention from the listener, I think. So, is that a challenge when you're writing, or do you just not worry about that at all?
No, you do worry about it. I think you've got to make sure you're doing certain rhythms in a script, and I think it's always better if you're bouncing between sort of outside and inside. I think because they're two very different soundscapes you can hear.
Yeah.
I think when I was writing it, I hoped the sort of the plants and the rain sounded a bit different to the sort of like the sort of closeted interior. A lot of it you've got to sort of hope or like hand over to the sound design to sort of help build that. It's definitely tricky, and I'm trying to think of examples where I've struggled. Definitely if you're bouncing between scenes in, say, a spaceship, if it's a very similar spaceship, you've got to be conscious about like thinking, how can I make this room sound different? And often that can be like, whirring panels or, bloops on a screen or something, just something silly like that can exactly just sort of help be like, okay, I'm here and then I'm there. Because it all depends as well, because I know listening habits are changing. I see on, I'm not very online, but I have seen on what's it called, the non-Twitter, the Blue Sky,
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
They should call it
Blue Sky,
the non-Twitter. I like that.
Yeah.
The nice place.
I'm just sounding older and older. I swear, with me and my cassettes and my lack of social media. But when people sort of like live tweet an audio, I'm always amazed, because I'm like, I don't think I could do that and listen and follow along. It's a bit like this whole debate that's happening in terms of Netflix TV programs. Should the script be accommodating somebody who's maybe got a second screen or something?
Oh, yeah.
As we enter this, different era, it's stuff you've got to be thinking about. Because stuff like, I've definitely done audios that I think would be really challenging to... I'd want to make you like, if you're ironing or something, I would hope that I could stop you ironing and then you just glued listening. But you can't always get that. You can't really control the listening conditions. But then that's the pros and cons of writing for audio, because then you still get to do very intimate stories on people's headphones, and you just can't control these things sometimes. But yeah, it's interesting. I think you are always thinking of what the listener how the listener is taking it in. Because you've got to make your story big enough and expansive enough that it's really exciting, but then it's got to be sort of small enough to fit into the listener's ear. So it's always a balance.
Yeah. But what I like about what you're writing and what comes out of Big Finish is almost an attitude of, well, don't let that stop you writing the best story. We'll make it happen. It feels like it's because some of those stories some of the stories that have come out. You mentioned Winter for the Adept, which is quite old now, but there's a whole generation of those in the early days that just seem to push the envelope as far as and even further and further and further. I think there was one, the Mutant phase, I think way back then, as might have been before Winter of Adept, where they had different Daleks with different ring modulator tones, and it's like I think there must be a sort of an understanding or a trust with Big Finish that, because it's predominantly a fan, that there's a strong fandom, I guess, who are already switched on to Doctor Who and what it can do and how it excites them and everything else, that they can actually go with it and not worry too much about they can trust their listeners. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's funny because we talk about sort of Winter for the Adept and all these old ones, and they were, oh my god, phenomenal stories. And that forever will be my sort of like golden era. But I am also conscious that, when was it? You'd have like one story every 2 months, and so it's a change in your listening habits. If you're all focused on, you're all listening to Project Twilight or something, and you're all going to talk about that one, because we are in a different
that's when
landscape.
I used to subscribe. I used to be able to afford it back in those days. I couldn't now. That's for sure. I've got to cherry pick what I'm going to listen to, which again is a change, isn't it, in a way?
Because it is, but I think it's enjoyable in one sense that I don't know. It's a whole debate, isn't it, about like CDs and downloads? But really, sort of, although Big Finish is putting out a lot of stuff, it's not going anywhere. And I hope there'll be people sort of discovering. I love it when you come across online someone's discovered Gallifrey, because I think Gallifrey is one of the amazing series, and it's funny because everything's available now all the time, and something like Gallifrey was 2004. I'm trying to remember.
Oh my god, don't say that. That makes me feel really old.
I know. I was there as well. CDs, which I'm trying to remember. It was like the only convention I've been to, and I bought my first CDs there, the Gallifrey ones. I got them signed as well, Louise Jameson. Oh, wonderful,
brilliant.
Wonderful. But it's one of them things like that can still be sort of like discovered, and I love the idea that somebody in like 15, 20 years time will turn around and be like, I've never heard of this writer. Who is it? Tim Foley. I will give one of his audios a listen, and then just set someone off on their own train there. So
it's it's interesting what you said there about the Netflix thing, because I've read about that, and I don't know if you have, Paul, but it would be like, I'm picking up this cup of coffee now and having a drink, and I'm going to put it back down on the table, and it's kind of almost audio descriptive writing in a show or film with an intention that the people watching have got like 2 or 3 screens or something going on at the same time. You
sound very dismissive of this new evolutionary way of consuming content, Mr. Jeff. I'll tell you what, do you know what? Because what put me in mind when you were saying that was, so I got 2 daughters. One's 18, the other one is 21. And the reason why that's important, because my eldest one, she's at uni. They're both going to be at uni in a couple of weeks, but I went down to visit her, take some stuff down and what have you, and I walked into their house, and she was house sharing with 5 or 6 other people, and I kid you not, right? So their TV was a computer screen, like a big, sort of 30-inch PC screen, and wide into that they had the snooker, right? The Crucible snooker tournament on in a corner. Then they had Netflix or iPlayer or whatever the hell it was. And in between that, there's somebody else working on a little bit of coding or something for a project that they're doing at uni. So, and in between all that, they're all sort of doing their own thing on their phones anyway. So it's like, well, and I was just like walking in and I thought, I do not understand this. I'm not even going to try to understand it. But if that's what the kids are into now, then so be it.
It's one of them things as well, as long as it can live alongside, because I've probably checked my phone when I've watched a film or something, but then there is also the joys of, I have an armchair in my study and I love to just put on Radio 3 and read it, and I feel like that can sit alongside this sort of like multimedia.
Absolutely it can.
A many screen things, but so it's always something you've got to think about, like who is your audience, how are they receiving it, so as long as You know, it's funny because you talk about audio descriptive language, but like that's obviously what radio writing's had to do for so long.
Exactly.
You've got to describe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a funny like it's almost like podcasts on TV or something. I don't know. We're
Yes.
gonna get some weird mergers of mediums and stuff, and it'll be
Well, I
fascinating.
mean, yeah, you're right. Again, my younger daughter, she will switch between TikTok and YouTube and ordinary TV and pre-recorded TV, all of that stuff. You know, and it's a world away from what I grew up with, where we only had like BBC One and ITV and BBC Two and just about Channel 4, you know, that was it. And even then we were lucky because we had a TV and in colour, you know.
But then it's interesting because then you can almost sort of like date people you meet and you'll talk about similar things that you watched on.
Yeah.
I always hear about like, you know, Christmas TV specials or something. And it was kind of a thing when I was a kid, but not massively compared to, you know, Morecambe and Wise or stuff like that. And I'll just be really interested in like 10, 20 years time, what the kids these days, what things they're bonding over. It could be TikToks, it could be memes or something. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a TV schedule or something for them all to bond over anymore. So it's a new frontier.
They find their way, don't they? You know, they find their thing, and you know, we can bemoan the loss of something that we used to have, but obviously things are going to change. And you know, in 50 years' time, the kids now, I mean, you know, my daughters are going to be bemoaning whatever has changed to their kids or their grandchildren. We had TikTok in my day, not like this stuff you inject straight to your face now.
Well, as long as Big Finish is still making audios, I'll inject
Well, indeed, yeah. Or would they be, I don't know, some kind of virtual, experiential thing that evolves around you or something?
They'll be doing holographic recreations of, you know, the Spectre of Lanyon Moor or something, you know.
I'd stick around for that. I'm going to be a head in a jar at that point, but that'll be fine. It's worth doing.
So, Tim, you've written for most Doctors on audio, quite a large number of them. Have you got a favourite to write?
There's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't answer that one, Tim.
They'll come after me.
You could avoid it, actually, because I thought of another question. Are you writing any more for Chris and Billie?
Well, I'll answer the first one first. So it's similar to when I say, because I don't really have a favourite Doctor, which I think sounds scandalous, but I think because the show's so vast, it just depends what mood I'm in. You know, sometimes I want a bit of John Pertwee, sometimes a bit of Sylvester McCoy. And it's not just because you are writing for a Doctor as in the character, but it's also the sort of the team around you as you're writing. So I've loved writing for anything with David Richardson and John Dorney. I think they're a great team, which is usually the sort of the Fourth Doctors or the Fifth Doctors. Matt Fitton's a superb script editor. Rob Valentine. I mean, oh God, I could just list all my colleagues now, but you get something different because, like I was saying before, it's not just you writing for a Doctor. It's you working with other writers for the box set or the series, talking to your script editor, talking to your producer. So it's a real sort of network. I can't deny that meeting Tom Baker and Louise Jameson, especially because of the Face of Evil thing, was incredible.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was just before lockdown because I never got a chance to do it again. But I went all the way down to the recording studio and I just had a marvelous day. So I love that. I've loved the freedom that I've got for writing the Fifth Doctor stories. I've been really lucky that someone like David Richardson, the producer's effectively given me a slightly bit of a blank slate to go away and write. And I really enjoy that era, the sort of the early 80s. But I mean, I can't think of a Doctor that I've not enjoyed writing for. I think there's something amazing. And like I was saying about The Fugitive, you find out what's unique to them, you find out what's universal to them, and God, you're just always going to have a great time. Whether I'm writing more Chris and Billie, who knows? Who could look into the future like that and answer that question? Only the Doctor could.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Well,
we'll come
time
back
will
to
tell.
we'll come back to Hooklight in a moment. But what was it like? Did you go to the studio when Chris and Billie recorded? What was it like there?
My main memory of Snare is just sitting outside in the corridor, eating all the biscuits and chatting non-stop to Jackie Tyler. What a woman. What a woman. I had an absolutely great time then. And yes, I think I'm trying to think of, because sometimes these days ever since sort of lockdown, things were set up in place so the writer doesn't always have to go down. And because I'm up north, I'm in Manchester, and
Yeah.
that's a wilderness compared to sort of London. So I often do listen in. Um, but it's nice as well because as a writer, I kind of like to hide my face. This is a very rare thing. So this is, but it's nice to be sort of in the background and sort of listening in and making the odd comment.
I'd march in there. Hello, I'm the writer. Your words exist because of me, darlings. Bow down and pay me homage. That's why they would never let me there.
Well,
wouldn't happen.
It depends how they would respond as well. Janet Fielding, I think, would just tear you to shreds if you entered like that. She is, what a woman. I think she's wonderful.
So, Hooklight was your epic Fifth Doctor story serial, wasn't it? So, is it 6 hours, 6 episodes, and you were the sole writer on it? So, how was doing that? I mean, like, that is massive. You know, you took it all on.
I mean, it was incredible, and it was also one of those, be careful what you wish for, but actually wish for things and then they'll turn out great. Because I said I'm trying to think, because I wrote Hooklight maybe a couple of years ago now, and it was, I wrote my very first 4-part episode, so 2 hours, and I think that was The Gulf, Third Doctor and Sarah Jane. And after I wrote that, David said, how did you find that? I was like, I really enjoyed that. I like longer stories. He's like, okay. Then I think he gave me my first 3 hours, and I was like, oh yeah, that was great. I love a longer story. And then he gave me a River Song box set, and it was 4 hours, and I was like, oh yeah, that was great. Go on. Can we go any further?
These are just upping in time,
just keep upping, until he was like, you know what? Let's do a big 12-parter. Your only condition is no returning monsters. No returning villains, just the Doctor and his companions. Can you do it? And I was like, you know what? I think I can. And again, it's a credit to David Richardson and John Doney that they're so supportive of me. And John Doney's just like, I mean, it's a Lord of the Rings-esque story, but John Doney is the real wizard. He'll just come in and sprinkle a little wisdom, Gandalf style, and then he'll disappear, flip his cape, and away he goes. But yeah, I had a blast writing it. Yeah.
Yes. So did you come up with the whole concept for it, or did they, say, pitch something in this sort of vein?
Yeah.
Did it work?
It was, I'm trying to think what the original provocation was. I think it was, David Richardson had been enjoying Foundation. Apple TV series. And I hadn't watched that at the time, but I'd just coincidentally finished reading the first 3 books. And I was thinking about sort of a big epic sort of time spanning story. And then you set yourself little challenges. So I was thinking, if I'm going to do an epic, again, I keep returning to it, but it's about how much do you replicate what's been before? How much do you push the boat out? But I decided to think, what's a good early 80s epic? And I was casting my net around, and it was things like, Empire Strikes Back or Dune. I mean, that's a little later on the David Lynch one, but you want all these, and there was some French animation, I can't remember the name, but just big colourful images. But the thing I zoned in on was Lord of the Rings, the radio adaptation, because that appeared at, I think maybe the summer of season 19 or similar to, and I just had this sort of like story that popped into my head. I was like, I could imagine that was a big hit for the BBC, and they're casting around and thinking, oh, can we do another big epic audio? And JNT sticks his head up out and he's like, you know what? We'll do that. We'll get Adric's dead, but we'll get him back. It's a story set before then. And so I started to imagine it as, what if in the 1980s, almost like a really long slip back, I guess, what would an audio version have appeared like? So I was sort of leaning into the sort of the lyricalness and the, I guess all the mysticalness, and I was having fun with. But then, of course, we had the option to bring a certain character. I don't want to do too many Hooklight spoilers, although the second CD cover might give it away a bit. But
yes, I'm just looking now. Yeah, he's got a bit Nick Fury there.
Yes, but we were, that then changes because then you can't do it fully loyally. 1981. There's a sprinkle there of 1996, 1997, or whatever. And maybe JNT would have thought of casting a future Doctor, that sort of come and had a thing. But yeah, then so it's. I think the box set one, I think, is my most sort of 80s offer, and then in box set two, it definitely sort of I wanted it to feel like it was sort of spiraling into the wilderness years. I guess that's why the sort of bigger things happen to the character. There's a Tegan centric episode, and I feel like that's something that you could only really have done in the sort of Virgin Missing Adventures era.
Right.
So I
Interesting.
was having
Yeah.
lots of fun thinking sort of tonally where I'd want the story to sit. But yeah, sorry, that was very long, rambly answers. But yes,
No,
a lot
That
of
was
it
good.
was my idea.
Yeah. It's brilliant. Being able to play in that sandbox with so many different, like you said, tones and things to pull on, and that's got to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's a different kind of storytelling as well with its long form because you've really got to be charting everybody's journey and being like, well, if they're there and they're there.
Do you have when you're doing that? Do you
board.
have kind
Storyboard.
of serial killers wall with red string everywhere?
I only recently started to do a serial killers board for my last project, which is as a theatre thing, and it isn't that complicated. But I was like, you know what, I'll give it a go because so often, because of how quickly you end up writing the Doctor Who audios, I can kind of sort of like keep them all balanced in my head.
Yeah.
This is my biggest worry about coming on a show like this and chatting is me completely forgetting a story because you have to really utilise a lot of your, I guess, short-term and medium-term memory to be like, okay, this is the character journey, these are the monsters, this is the situation. But then you've got to like put that in a mental drawer and then move on to the next one. If please don't ask me for anything that I wrote during lockdown because for other reasons as well. I just have no memory. There's some audios that are coming out next year, and I was thinking that sounds good. Having a sneak preview, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds good." Turns out I've written one of them, so I was feeling slightly. So I had no idea what was going on there, but that was lockdown. It was a different time. I mean, I wrote a novel in lockdown that I only discovered a couple of years later when I was just peeling back these pieces of paper, being like, "What on earth is all this?" So yeah, who knows? Who knows what went on there?
I mean, the whole big thing. I mean, that's kind of novelesque. You're writing a novel anyway, aren't you? With those big finish, that big saga. It's just
yeah. I mean, the word count. So it's 1 hour is 10,000 words. So something like Hooklight is 60,000 words, and you just need to stick in a few he saids and she saids, and then you've basically got
there you go. You got a novel
book there. Yeah. Oh, don't give me ideas. Maybe I'll do that next.
There you go.
Yeah. Maybe
the Virgin New
target,
Adventures were about 60,000 words, weren't they? 50, 60,000 words, something like that.
I think some of the targets I think are like 40,000. So that would be
they were really short. Yeah. Sorry, Jeff, you were saying.
I can't remember what I was going to say there, so I'm just going to move on. Tim, if someone said they could only listen to one of your stories, one of your audios, doesn't matter if it's 45 minutes or 6 hours, what one would you recommend that they listen to?
Oh, that's a good question. Good question. I mean, I'd love to, what this hypothetical listener, what they were after and stuff, but if it was just pure, here, listen to this, I guess it's going to be my Diary of River Song Friend of the Family box set, which is this big, long, 4-hour, barely any sci-fi, no Doctor, but it was just it was a joy to sort of write, and it was just really fun. It's almost like writing a period drama. It felt like, and I love it when Big Finish gives me the opportunity to just sort of try new things and test myself. Like I would never have any opportunity to write a sort of kaleidoscopic 4-hour story about one family in anything other than a Big Finish audio. So I really enjoyed that. So I guess, they could listen to 4 hours and be like, wow, this is really boring. Where's Doctor Who? So apologies, hypothetical listener. But if you want a Doctor Who story of mine, unfortunately, the one I will be recommending to everyone till the end of time has not been released yet or announced yet, and probably won't be for a few years. So
you can't tell us the title of it even, no?
I can't even tell you that. I can tell you it's 3 words.
Go on.
And the first word is the.
I knew it was going to be that.
But that's
and the is in there somewhere.
And
another classic. I've probably written a story to my time with the Nanda in as well. But that one for me when I wrote it was just like absolute classic comfort, cozy because I think the great tragedy. It's no real tragedy, but it's just a funny irony, I think, because you're always trying to write, I think, Doctor Who stories that you would want to listen to, but in the end, you don't want to listen to them because you've written them and you're probably sick of them by the time you finish them, and you'll only hear the flaws, and you'll hear, oh, I should have made that character that. So you're forever chasing that high of writing the ultimate Doctor Who story for you, for that 9-year-old or whatever I was when I was watching Face of Evil, and I think this audio, which will come out, I think that's probably the closest I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So if I could time travel and give it to myself, I would, but then that would cause all kinds of complications, so we shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
when it comes out, you have to let us know that this is the one.
Yeah, I will.
Chaps,
might be wild.
This is the one I was talking about.
Yeah, even if it's in like 2 years' time. Yeah,
we don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll reach out. That's a promise.
Great.
Good man.
So you've done a lot of theatre work as well, haven't you? So tell us a little bit about that. And you have Thick Skin Theatre Company as well, don't you? That's something that you're involved in? Is that right? Is that kind of an ongoing thing?
I mean, like Big Finish, they're just a company that I've got my claws into, and I'm like, I'm not letting you go now. Theatre's a funny one. I didn't think growing up I'd be sort of getting into theatre stuff. I sort of fell into it, but I love it in the way that I love writing the audio dramas as well. It's a complete blank canvas. There's such a thrill of writing for an audience, to have them there in the room, watching your story, gasping at all the right moments and laughing at your jokes. And I think I'm glad that I'm going on this sort of journey as a writer of both theatre and audio together, because they really do feed into the other. Theatre's quite a slow industry, slower than even I'm promising Doctor Who stories, in years to come. But theatre, I'm operating on a different scale.
Like on somewhere I read that one of your plays, you won an award for it, didn't you? But then it was a few years later before it toured. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. So I think I won the award in 2017, and it didn't get staged until 2022, and that's fairly pacey in terms of theatre.
Right.
Like, I am working on things now for probably the next decade. I mean, it'd be lovely if they happened sooner, but
crazy, isn't it?
It's just a different time scale, and it just makes you think about things differently. And this is why I love. So theatre is, big giant lily pads, but they're very spaced out. Whereas Big Finish is fast and it's furious, and it's you come up with an idea, and then maybe 4 to 6 weeks later the script is out. Like it activates a different bit in my brain, and I love that. But yeah, it's the theatre. Theatre, I guess, is the day job. I mean, it's sort of bounced between which one's the day job, but I've been very lucky that I've been able to be sort of like a full-time writer, straddling two worlds. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, it's quite typical. There's other Big Finish writers that do that, and I have to say, Tim X Atack is such an amazing playwright. If you ever got to see any of his stuff live on stage, he's done a few sort of Ninth Doctor stories, and God, he's just out there. And my mates Stu and Laws, Stuart Pringle and Lauren Mooney, they're starting to do a lot more Big Finishes now, and they are incredible. Like, they're the kind of writers that you'd be like, bloody hell, this isn't fair. Don't write so good a play. I want that.
So good.
Yeah. So it's fun, and it's nice, and I wonder if we're getting more and more. The more we spread the word amongst the theatre crew, the more they come a knocking for Big Finish. So it's quite fun.
That's quite interesting.
I was going to say, hold on, where's my question gone? So what's your next play that's going into production?
I actually have two. That's I'll be bouncing between rehearsals. I've got one. I mean, they're both really different. One's a dinosaur comedy that's going to be at the Soho Theatre in London.
Well, that sounds fun.
Oh, it is. It's utterly bonkers. It's very daft as well, and it's like I was saying, it's one joke that I just keep hitting again and again and again. And I hope you like that one joke to begin with, because tell
that's
you what, it's going to be said a few times. And then my other pieces, I'm doing which I cannot wait for. I'm doing a horror story, a ghost story for the stage, and we are going all in.
This is the one with It Walks Around the House at Night?
It is indeed, yes.
Because I want to ask about that, because that is a great title.
That's brilliant.
And I thought that's got to be a horror.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us anything about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this was one of the things I sort of discovered during lockdown, because not only did I write a novel, I made lots of plans for things, and I think I was like, theatre's dead. I shall just write prose. Unfortunately, I can't really write prose for toffee, but I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying. And I plotted this horror story out and talking to the Thick Skin crew, who are a really cool dance company. They're not quite physical theatre, but they're all about sort of like bodies and movement. And
Okay.
because I am words, I do not have a visual eye at all. I am just voices. They are they they complete me, and I hopefully maybe complete them. Like we really work well together,
right.
completely different perspectives. And they were saying they wanted to do a spooky show, and I was like, I have got a good idea for a spooky show. And yeah, we're just hopefully going to terrify you. It's sort of in the vein of The Woman in Black or Ghost Stories. I
Okay.
don't know if you've ever seen the
Yeah,
Andy
yeah,
Nyman.
yeah.
We're going to go all out for the scares. So we're making it this Halloween in their theatre. It's sort of like a big, long, extended preview thing, and then we're taking it on the road next year in 2026. So hopefully coming soon to a theatre near you, I guess.
Oh, well, I will
Brilliant.
keep an eye out for that, because I do like a bit of horror and a bit of spooky, and particularly Spooky Who.
We could pop along to that one, couldn't we, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, please! And there's a big Finnish connection because our lead actor is a big Finnish regular. He's called George Naylor, and you've probably heard him without even realising, because he's just one of those big Finnish lovely actors, and they will give them work again and again. And George is one of them. He was a Lupari guard in one of my stories. So he's been in a few of my episodes as small roles, but then he came to audition for us, and he blew us away. It's such an incredible,
I'm just looking him up. Yeah.
terrifying. Oh, it's gonna be something very special. I'm really looking forward to working with him. And the nice thing is, because it's theatre, this is one advantage it has over audio. Because audio, you turn up on the day. They've had the script. They've maybe done some preparation, but then it's a day and it's done. Theatre.
Yeah.
God, you're buckling down for like 4 or 5 weeks of rehearsals, and then you're doing the whole
Process,
run.
isn't it?
Yeah, and then if we're taking it on tour, like he'll be sick of me. He'll be bloody sick of me by the end of it, but I won't care because he's great. So,
But you get friends for life through that, don't you? You know, working closely with people, developing a project and seeing it grow and build it, like you're birthing it almost, and then setting it out there. It's an incredible thing. Oh, I wish you well with that, Tim. It sounds fantastic.
That sounds great. Do you know, recently I did some filming for the youth theatre department of a Shakespeare company that I filmed for in Guildford quite often. They're called the Guildford Shakespeare Company. They spent ages thinking of that name. And the guy who runs the youth department for them played a vampire in my graduation film that I did 20 odd years ago.
Oh, wow.
And we've stayed in touch a little bit, over the years, but, like you're saying, you make friends for life. I don't see each other all that often. But, he called me up and said, we need to get some film and come down and do it. And it was really nice. And we had a bit of a catch up, and it was all filmed and performed in their house where they do Ghosts, the BBC show. So that was a lot of fun as well.
Oh, you sent me that picture, didn't you? And I didn't recognise it.
Yeah.
He goes, "This is where I'm filming today." I went, "Nice."
Yeah. It's an old
And he's like,
rundown house.
"It's Ghosts." I went,
Yeah.
"Also nice."
Because
No idea.
I went there last year, just before Christmas, because they did so sometimes Guildford Shakespeare Company do non-Shakespeare stuff, so coming up soon is Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
And last year they did a murder mystery thing in the Ghosts house, and it was called The House Trap, and they said, have you watched Ghosts? And I said, no. They've got the dollhouse thing in the house now, it's in the tiles. So when I came home, I was like, I think I should watch this.
So you watched it.
It's quite interesting, seeing it all, then going back and actually being in the rooms and the parts of the house that don't get shown on screen, and the stuff that's kind of locked up that you can't go into and things. So that was good fun. But yeah, nice to see, a guy that I'd known for a long time. Yeah. So, Tim, cast your mind back many years ago to when you realised you first wanted to be a writer. When was that, and what triggered that for you?
Oh, this is going to sound well. So it was at university, and although I say this, and now that I've sort of discovered this, this old sort of Big Finish, I've definitely seen, so I've been scratching at some of the like sketches or something when I was in school, but it's never very serious. But I was on a university course, and it was with an old professor, and we were learning about plays, and I hadn't chosen to be in this class. I'd been sort of like assigned it, so I was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And instead of handing in an essay, you could hand in a short play. And I thought, well, that sounds way easier. I'll give that a go. I don't want to be stuck in a library. Little did I know, there was nothing easy about it. But then I just got the bug. Just got the bug.
Yeah.
And I did about 7 or 8 plays at university in the sort of student theatre. And I would say about 90% of all that was absolute rubbish in the best way, because it was just such a safe space to fail. I was trying things. I didn't have a clue. I thought I was reinventing the wheel. We took a show to we took a couple of shows to the Edinburgh Fringe on different years because it was a Scottish university, so I could just bounce over. But I remember one play that we took, and it was basically the plot of a play that had been very famous that year at the Royal Court, and I just had never heard of it because why would you? So
Yeah.
Who does?
it's just so it was just stuff like this that was so that's when I think I knew I wanted to be a writer. And then at the end of university, I was like, I'm going to pack my knapsack, I'm going to move to London, I'm going to
Dick Whittington style.
Exactly. And there's about 8 of us crammed in a 5-bed house. It was one of those situations. And I got some work at a theatre pub and pulling pints, and I think that's also where I got the bug for theatre. It was just lovely seeing companies coming in and coming out. And I'd be sat at the end of the bar trying to write. So I think that's when it was sort of a slow process for me. I think I must have had the storytelling bug somehow in me, but it was unleashed through my laziness.
Yeah, that's great. That's lovely. So, what was your first sort of professional break? How did you see your script that you won your award for? How did all that happen?
My first professional break was probably a bit before then, in the sense that it kind of so to write the play that won the big award, I was able to write it because I had won a Channel 4 playwright in residence to be a writer on a farm theatre in Shropshire, and I've kept in touch with them since. They're a great company for new writing, but basically they gave me time and space and money to write, and I think that's what all writers need, because the myth of the struggling artist and it'll make their work great. Rubbish. Oh my God. No, you want to be able to pay your rent, you want to be able to eat. Otherwise you just can't do anything, you're just stressed. So I got to write that play during that year, no strings attached, and then I could submit it to awards, and was very lucky that year I won an award for it. But even to get that, I had to be very lucky, because I only got the residency because I got to put a play on in a pub above a theatre in London. In fact, the theatre pub I worked at, a year after I'd left them, I managed to get a play on there. And in fact, I was so broke during the making of that play that I had to come downstairs and like pull pints at the interval and just hope that nobody knew that I was the writer, as they were all bitching and moaning about the play or whatever. It's all. I've just been very lucky, and it's just all sort of like dominoes that have fallen in place. And it's about people giving you breaks and stuff, So.
You say lucky, and I think there is an element of that, but you've got to put yourself in those sort of places. You've got to be committed and work. Not everyone can work in a pub wondering where the next paycheck's going to come in, pulling pints and stuff like that. You've got to cross the line. You've got to want to do it so much that you're willing to put yourself in those places, I think. And then, the chances are the breaks, people will see you, they'll recognise you for what you do and everything else. I think, it's, and fair dues to you, Tim, and people who do that, because that is really something, mate. It really is.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's rewarding, What advice would you give to someone who was looking to become a writer as well?
Oh, yes, I think. So obviously, I think you should write. If you want to be a writer, you should write. That sounds like such a basic thing.
Definitely write.
But you should just get yourself into a good rhythm of doing a little bit every day, I think. And people, if you're doing 2 jobs or something, that can be a big ask. But I feel like you've just got to carve out a really special space, even if it's 15 minutes a day. Even if you're not putting pen to paper, if you're thinking about a plot or a story or something, So I would say make that kind of time for yourself. I think also finding other writer mates is so important because there's a big sort of myth, or maybe I was just, a bit young and cocky, but I just assumed other writers were my competition. And that's not it at all because although you might be going for some of the same gigs, in the end, only you can write what you're going to write. And they're going to write what they're going to write.
100%, yeah.
All just be working together and getting along. All my writer mates that I met sort of in London and ever since, like I've kept in touch with them because you're all in this, you're all on this crazy journey together. So, solidarity I think is important.
And you celebrate each other's successes as well, right? So someone gets a gig, you're like, well done, mate, and genuinely so as well, not like.
Yeah, and I've got some writer mates who I guess we write maybe similar things. I've got some writer mates who write completely different things, and it's just a privilege to watch both ends of the spectrum. Be it like, oh my god, I wish I'd written that, or oh my god, I could never have written that. I think they're both amazing feelings to feel. But then my third piece of advice is just be like, just absorb everything, every story. And I don't just mean like, high works of art, like, Dickens or whatever. Just everything from like, Netflix documentaries to weird little long reads to, somebody's thread on Blue Sky or something. And just figure, the more stories you take on, the more you're figuring out how that works, the more you figure out what you want to tell. Yeah, I mean, it's lovely. It's a great excuse to be like, yes, I'm working today. I am sat in my armchair and reading in Agatha Christie. That counts as work. Thank you very much. So
that's great. That's some really good advice there.
Fantastic, thank you, Tim.
I've got one more question that I'd written down, but I'm going to precede it with another one before we do our little. I don't know what we call it, Paul.
Time space visualizer.
Yeah, our little thing. If you're only listening to this podcast, this isn't going to make much sense, but if you're watching on YouTube, you've probably been thinking the same thing that we have. Tim, behind you, there's a rather snazzy Sixth Doctor illustration.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is very special for me. I bought that with my very first paycheck for writing, which was a short play, and somebody paid me, I think it was like £100 to put on this short play of mine, which I thought great. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna spend that entire £100 on a print of Colin Baker's costume, and it was the best decision I made because at the time, maybe a couple of days later, I was like, oh no, I could have used that to eat. But now
pay the rent or whatever.
But now it just sort of sits behind me, and I'm just, it's just a happy. I mean, I love Colin Baker's Doctor, and it's weird because he's one of the few Doctors that I've barely written for.
Yeah,
but it's you've got to keep these things. Yeah, like I was saying, you want to be able to listen to some things as a fan. I think the Sixth Doctor is definitely my sort of fan outlet, especially those early Big Finish stories with like Evelyn Smythe. Oh
man, it's so
Chef's
good.
Kiss,
it's so good. Yeah,
big fan of him.
Yeah, I love Sixie, and particularly with Constance and Flip. And
you do?
Do. And there's one, I'm halfway through it at the moment, with Perry, where the first one's a pirate adventure.
Yes, I saw the art for this. It looked very good.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying that one as well. You sort of answered this a little bit, but what else are you working on at the moment? And which Doctor is next for you? Maybe what's going to be released? I know you can't sort of spill anything.
Yeah, I think the next one that I have announced is an Eighth Doctor, a Charlie and Audacity. Now I don't know if people have been following these adventures, but this is what I was saying to you before, Jeff, in terms of loving those early Eighth Doctor stories and loving the breadcrumbs and loving that series arc of Charlie. I've really enjoyed writing for the Charlie and Audacity stories because we've been able to do the same. We've been having a bit of a mini arc going, and it's maybe a bit underground at the moment. People don't really know what's happening or what's bubbling on. And the story that is coming out, I think it's in November. They always take me by surprise when they come. But it's called The Time You Never Had, and it has a very annoyingly vague synopsis that I've written because it's one of those stories that I should say nothing about. I should give nothing away. But it's similar to Hereafter in the sense that we're coming to
okay.
It's a bit of it's a climax. It's a thing. It's a gear shift.
Point, is it?
Yeah, things aren't going to be quite the same afterwards for
Oh,
this TARDIS
interesting.
team. So I'm looking forward to people enjoying that one. Maybe getting annoyed by that one. They'll, we'll see, we'll see. And then I think because it's quite rare for me.
Mm.
Actually, no, I don't know. I don't know the release schedules, but there is at least one Doctor that I haven't yet been seen to write for. That I
Yeah.
have now written for, and I think that
Okay.
should be coming out next year. We'll see. I know I've sort of dominated the schedules a bit this year, and that's completely by mistake, I guess, because all these audios I've just written at different points of the time. They've all just sort of
Mm,
coalesced.
mm, mm.
I don't think I'll be quite so prevalent in years to come. I just think I don't know how much of mine is sort of like left in the Big Finish vaults, which must be a beautiful and yet treacherous place to be guarded, by all the Big Finish sentries and the like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because some stuff comes out fairly swiftly, doesn't it? Like the 13 and 9 stuff. But the Sixth Doctor one that I was listening to, I looked at the production credits and I was like, oh, this was done like 5 years ago. And
Yeah,
and it's only just come out. And I know like, Tom Baker has recorded like apparently a ton of stuff that will keep going, long after he sadly left us. So yeah, I imagine that vault is rammed with stuff that will entertain us for many, many years that we don't know about yet.
yeah. Treats galore. Treats galore.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
Valhalla, isn't it, in the MCU?
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. Well, that's kind of the end of the questions I had. Whenever we have a guest on, I feel like we could just talk for hours and hours about all sorts of things. But we're always very grateful for people's time and don't want to kind of overstay our welcome. So, Paul, shall we do our little extra thing? Would you like to? There you go.
you mean this, Jeff?
I do.
What
mean
is
this.
it, I hear you say? Well, it's the
Space Visualizer.
the Time Space
Super.
Visualizer. Pop.
Why is there a pop at the end?
Why shouldn't there be a pop at the
Well,
end?
I suppose
It was
not.
either going to be a pop or a microwave, bing, one or the other.
Oh.
And I thought the pop had a slightly more comedy effect.
So this is a new thing that we've added to the podcast because obviously the main show is off air at the moment, and no one quite knows what's going on. And we thought, well, we'd like to perhaps talk about some other things that are of interest to us. This is a new feature where we're going to talk about something that we've watched or read or played in the last week or 2 weeks or whatever it might be. So, Tim, we'll kick off with you. Would you like to tell us what's been taking up your time recently?
Yes, well, I made a marvelous discovery at the end of the summer. I guess it's only just September now, and I've been reading books 1 and 2 of Ian M. Banks's culture novels. I don't know. I think they are so good. I don't know how I got reading. I don't know how it crossed my path. Yes, this is
One of my favourites. This
It was-
series, Tim.
it
If
was
you weren't already high up in my opinion, you've just smashed through the roof, mate. I tell you now. They are astonishingly good books. I love Ian M. Banks and his contemporary non-M stuff as well. He was
Yeah.
a brilliant writer. Absolute hero of mine. Brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm loving the perfect balance of the sort of the world building, and yet they're very characterful stories. They've just got a real engine to them.
They
So
do.
I've just finished book 2, The Player of Games, and I just thought that was incredibly thrilling. I could see it as an amazing like film, or I was
Yeah.
even thinking I could adapt it as a play or something. It's one of those.
Oh, man.
It's such a simple story about playing games, and yet it's just
So much going on. Shall I tell you what my favourite... Well, I think they're all my favourites, but the one that really got me was use of weapons. If you've read that one yet.
No, that's on my
Man,
pile.
that is so flipping good. Honestly, I mean, it's terrifying. It's going down a really dark avenue. I'm not going to give anything away, but please tell me what you think of it afterwards.
Oh, I will.
I'd be interested. Whether you hated it or loved it, but it's an astonishing piece of work. Honest to goodness. My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, well done, Tim. Brilliant.
Well, yeah, so it's just always, we must all have this pleasure as well when we discover an author we like or a TV show we like or something, and you're just like, Oh my goodness, there's so much. The last time I felt like this was when I watched my first episode of Columbo. I was like, there's so
Yeah,
many episodes of Columbo, great, and I'm just
I
so glad
know.
that there are so many of these culture novels, and they look like quite chunky boys, and I'm like, that's what I want. This is
Yeah,
great.
really, really good to get your teeth into. So many different stories and a really good concept at the heart of it. It's like, how do you keep a sort of libertarian utopia going? You know what I mean? It's like you have to play dirty with races that haven't quite reached that state of what you call enlightenment, but which they view as something. Oh my goodness! Oh man, brilliant, brilliant! So much good stuff in there. Hope you enjoy it. I really do. Yeah. Fantastic.
So, Paul, what's been on your playlist?
Well,
Read list?
apart from eating loads and loads of Hall Soothers and trying not to stop breathing at some point. Yeah. What have I haven't been watching very much, actually. I'm still playing the end of Mass Effect 3, because I'm at that crunch point right at the end of it now, where I've only got like a couple of missions, and there's a bit of DLC as it used to be on the old version. And it's just the best part of the game. I always save it till last. Anyone who plays Mass Effect will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's Anderson's apartment, and it's a whole new story within the whole thing. Basically, you put the big spaceship into park to get some upgrades and whatever, and then you just are given the keys to this brilliant apartment, and then stuff kicks off, and it's just so much fun. I love it. It's brilliant. So I'm waiting for to finish that, and then I'm going to jump straight back into TV land, because my backlog of things to watch has just gone up massively.
I might not accept that answer because you said that last time.
I did, but I honestly haven't done much else, mate. I mean, I've been reading. What have I been? I'll tell you what I have read, actually. Hold on 1 second, though. I've just finished reading. I've just finished reading this, actually. The Spy Who Loved Me. James Bond, because I've been reading James Bond novels for years. And this one, this one here is kind of bizarre, because James Bond isn't in it until like almost halfway through. It's Ian Fleming writing from the perspective of one of the female heroes or heroines within his story. So it's basically the perspective of a Bond girl, if you're going to pare it right down. And Ian Fleming's got this kind of history of not being great with portraying women in his books. He really hasn't been at all. You read some of the early books, you think, oh my God, how did he... Just different times and all the rest of it, but you think, cripes, you would not, you just wouldn't, it's just so wrong. And yet, it is what it is, right? So you think, well, and I'd heard about this. I think, well, Ian Fleming can't write from a women's perspective. Women are objects to him, surely. This is just craziness. But I kid you not, I genuinely think that this is the best Bond novel that he ever wrote, or at least it's a close contender, because it gives a new spin on the kind of traditional Bond story that he established. And actually, reading that, he understands women pretty well. It's also, if nothing else, a brilliant snapshot of being a woman in the 1960s and how women are kind of treated by men. And if you filter that through Fleming's lens, so whether it's accurate or not, I don't know, because it's obviously his interpretation of how women were treated then. But it's a very credible story, regardless. So a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. You did ask. We could have stopped at Mass Effect 3, but you asked for more, so I gave you more.
That's good. That's good.
What have you been up to, Jeff?
I'm probably about halfway through a book called Hex, which is reasonably old now, about 8 years maybe. And it's written by Thomas Old Hoevelt, which I've probably pronounced horribly wrong, but I think he's a Dutch author, yeah. And this is a English translation of it. But it focuses on a town where there is a 300 or 400-year-old witch who wanders the town, and her eyes and her mouth are stitched up, and she sort of teleports. And so there'll be things like people are having breakfast and she's at their patio door, or there's one bit where a married couple are entertaining themselves and she's then at the foot of the bed and stuff. So the whole town know about all of this, and it's kind of this big secret, and they kind of guard it from the outside world. And they've got various elaborate ruses to sort of shield her from outsiders. Like the marching band will suddenly appear because they've all got an app that will say she's in, wherever it is. Oh, okay, and put the signs up and pretend that they're doing work. But some of the teenagers,
it's kind of freaky.
Yeah, some of the teenagers decide they're going to start YouTubing her, and then it escalates, and they start sort of doing stuff to her. Like one of them starts poking her with a stick and stuff, and trying to get the stitching undone because she's murmuring the whole time. And then it starts to, things are starting to go wrong. Animals are dying and going crazy, and the stream is becoming filled with blood and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping the end kind of reveal of how she's there and what happened to her and all of that is good. So yeah,
that sounds great.
Yeah, right.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
You really picked us up with how
watching it.
Yeah. There was supposed to be a TV series of it, but it hasn't never materialised. So,
interesting.
It's good.
Sounds good, mate.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, Tim, many thanks for joining us tonight. This has been great, and genuinely thank you for all the great Who stuff that you've done.
Absolutely.
It's given us much entertainment, and we look forward to hearing more from you in the future. And do please keep in touch on Blue Sky. We'll send you an email as well. But when the stage shows come out,
do let us know
if we can come and see one of them, and if they hit our areas. We're both in different areas, aren't we? But we do get together. And last year we went to see Chris Chibnall's play that he put on.
Fantastic!
So that was good fun. And was it the year before I went to see Hound of the Baskervilles? Colin Baker. Yeah, Colin Baker was in.
Yeah, so I wanted to see that.
Yeah, it was great. Coconuts for the horses' hoofs and stuff like that. So do keep us posted, and
because we will turn up, mate. I'll tell you now.
Oh, please do. Bums on seats. That was what we want.
Yeah.
No, well, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us.
Brilliant.
Right.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks
Tim
for
Foley,
listening,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time on Who Corner to Corner podcast.
Bye for now.
Bye.